Hey guys, I'm back. I apologize for the late video this week, but better late than never. I hope you guys enjoyed the bye week. I guess I did. It was nice to have a stress-free Sunday. But, the bye week always sucks. It came at a good time, I suppose. But I miss Bills football. 2 weeks ago, the Bills beat the Jets 43-23. I think a lot of fans were a little bit upset with some things, and I'll talk about that a little bit. It's just weird because we're not used to seeing the Bills handle a team and win by 20. It's been a while, and there were some things that I didn't like, obviously, and like I said, I'll touch on that in a second. But, just to look at some of the stats, the Bills are outgained in the game, 312 to 280. They only completed 10 passes. Their leading rusher was Anthony Dixon, who had 22 carries for 44 yards. They got sacked 4 times. They allowed 175 rushing yards. They won by 20. It's the 6 turnovers by the Jets. Obviously, the 4 picks, the 2 fumbles. They just set the Bills up. Orton completed, as I said, only 10 passes, 238 yards, 4 touchdowns. Sammy Watkins, Robert Woods combined for 207 of 238 yards. That's what we want to see. That's what we want to see. Production from the wide receivers. Production in a small sample size. 10 of 17 for Kyle Orton. Throws 4 touchdowns, 238 yards. Wins by 20. At times it was a pretty stressful 20-point win. The play calling was questioned. There was a lot of talk about the run, pass, punt thing, which I think only happened 2 times. I did look up and see that the Bills, in 8 of 14 possessions, they technically had 15 possessions, I'm not counting the last one where they just ran the clock out. 8 of 14 possessions ran the ball on the first 2 plays of their drive, which seemed kind of insane because it wasn't working. And they just kept trying it. But I suppose if you look at it from the standpoint of, hey, they just keep giving us the ball, they're not really posing much of a threat other than the 10 quick points they scored towards the end of the first half. They're not posing a huge threat offensively. They, like I said, just keep turning the ball over and giving us opportunities. We're kind of made here. Let's just take care of the football. Let's not take chances. Worry about sacks, because Orton got sacked 4 times. Worry about him fumbling the football or, things of that nature. Interceptions, penalties, anything like that. So I'm hoping you sort of see that perspective as well, because I know that people were just calling for Nate Hackett's head, and they scored 43 points. There's nothing wrong with that. The Jets were just giving him the ball. Here, take it. Score points with it. The Jets were terrible. They were so bad. So I think the Bills, like I said, just thought, let's just ride this out, take it home, go into the bye 5-3. They did. They got it done. I can't complain about a whole lot. They were down their top 2 running backs. Kyle Orton was the quarterback. And he handled himself well. He threw, like I said, 10 of 17, 238 yards. And one of those completions was for 1 yard because it was a touchdown to Lee Smith. So he had 9 other completions for 237 yards, which was excellent. I'm not talking about Sammy Watkins taunting. He learned. They still scored on the drive. They won. That's all I have to say about that. No other comment. They still scored on that drive. He knows he shouldn't have done it, so he learned it in a game where it didn't really come back to bite him at all. Was impressed, like I said earlier, by Kyle Orton. This is the most notable stat, and it'll be my segue into this week's game against the Chiefs. Kyle Orton against 5 pass rushers against the Jets, 5 or more pass rushers, was 6 of 8 for 184 yards and 3 touchdowns. That's impressive. He's going to need that this week because the Chiefs are coming to town, and the Chiefs like to get after the quarterback. This is the 7th year in a row the Bills have faced the Chiefs. Now, you can figure it out by, the schedule, how the schedule works. They're going to play them every 3 years no matter what, because that's how the divisions work out. So because they play the AFC West this year, 3 years ago they also did, and 3 years before that they did. So 3 of those matchups are based on divisional matchups. Those other 4 times are based on them finishing in the same position as the Chiefs in the division. For instance, the Bills finished last in the AFC East. The Chiefs finished last in the AFC West. That's why they play each other. That's how that works. When you're not playing that division, you play that team. Does that make sense? The Bills are playing the AFC West this year. They finished last in the AFC East last year. So in the AFC North and the AFC South, they play whoever else finished last. Because they're playing the West, they play one team from each of the other 2 AFC divisions, that lines up with where they finished. So that's how that worked. And that's how it's worked with the Chiefs. They just keep finishing in the same place as them with 4 out of the last 7 years. Both teams are 5-3 now, so that could happen again. We could play the Chiefs again next year. This is a battle of 2 teams who, like I said, are 5-3 and chasing the elite teams in their division. The Bills lost to the Patriots. The Chiefs lost to the Broncos. The Bills are chasing the Patriots, and the Chiefs are chasing the Broncos. But they're both looking for wild card spots. But, look at the AFC. The Browns are 6-3. The Bengals are 5-3-1. Although Andy Dalton looks terribly inconsistent based solely on what his performance was yesterday. The Steelers are 5-3. The Ravens are 5-4. Like, the AFC is just it's so tight. It's ridiculous. The Bills are finally good, and there's all these teams that are also good. It's insane. The Chiefs, anyway, started 0-2, and they have won 5 of their last 6 games, and 4 of those wins have been by at least 14 points. So they've been putting the hurt on some teams. Mind you, some of those they beat the Chargers on the road. That's a good win, only by 3. They beat the Dolphins on the road. They beat the Jets. Why is this not coming to me? I don't have the other 2 teams in front of me right now, but or the other one. But they're 2-2 on the road. 3 of those 4 games on the road have been decided by 7 points or less. The only one was their win against Miami. They beat them 34-15 in week 3. Other than that, their other 3 road games have been decided by 7 or less. So there's deceiving stats with the Chiefs. And I'm going to get into some way more deceiving stats with the Chiefs. Right now, they're the only team without a pass touchdown to the wide receiver. And they're the only team that hasn't allowed a rushing touchdown on defense. So those are interesting. Continuing with the deceiving stats, they're second in points allowed per game. They only allow 17 points per game on defense. Like I said, they have no rushing touchdowns against. Their longest run allowed all season is 24 yards. That's second best in the league. Only the Cardinals have one shorter than that. Yet, they're 19th against the run. They average 4.7 yards per carry against, which is tied for 3rd worst in the league. This makes no sense, but they've allowed no touchdowns, and the longest run they've allowed is 24 yards. So they're allowing a lot of, 8-yard runs, I suppose. They're first in the league against the pass. They're the only team that's allowed less than 200 yards per game passing. It's like 199.4, but still, they're the only one. But their QB rating against is 92.8, which is in the middle of the league. They've allowed 13 passing touchdowns. They only have 4 interceptions. Where is this coming from? Their strength, Kansas City's strength, is on their defensive line. We know they have Eric Berry in the secondary. Their other corners, Abdullah is back there. Sean Smith, they're not that good. I don't think they're that good. I personally don't think they're that good. Eric Berry I know is good. Their strength is up front. They're down Derek Johnson, but their strength is up front. They have Justin Houston, Tamba Hali, Dontari Poe, even Alan Bailey is getting into the mix. Justin Houston has 12 sacks in 8 games. That's on pace to set the sack record. He's got a shot at it. And he's facing a rookie this week in Chantrell Henderson, so you know he's got a shot at it. That's your matchup right there. The Bills porous offensive line, to say the least, or poor offensive line, against the Chiefs' front four. There are other stories of this game, like will Sammy Watkins play? That's huge. That's your weapon. He's a rookie, but there's your biggest weapon. Will Fred Jackson play? He could help stabilize the run game. He could help protect Orton in the passing game. These are big things because Orton's going to need that extra protection, especially with with that Chiefs front four coming after him. And that's where it is. Is he going to have time maybe without his best receiver, maybe without his best pass protector and running back, the heart and soul of the team, Fred Jackson? The offensive line just has to give him time so he can get the ball to the Robert Woods, to the Scott Chandlers, so they can open holes for the Boobie Dixons, for the Bryce Browns. I mean, it's a tall task. We don't know who's going to play. It's Friday afternoon. This is when I'm recording it, and I don't know. We have no clue. The Bills are just they're like One Tree Hill or something. We can't find out. They just jump up and down and around and back and forth. We don't know. It's so frustrating. I don't even know what to say because I don't know if Fred Jackson. I don't know what to predict. I don't know if Fred Jackson's playing. I don't know if Sammy Watkins is playing. I heard an AP report that Sammy Watkins will play. You would think that wouldn't go to print unless he will. And then Fred Jackson, nothing Fred Jackson does surprises anyone. Even Doug Marrone said that. But they're so cryptic about it all. So it's tough to even make that prediction. I do know that the Bills' offensive line has to come to play against that Kansas City defensive line. And defensively, the Bills need their front four to put in some work on Kansas City's offensive line. Alex Smith takes care of the football. They're only 29th in passing, but they limit their mistakes. They have good running backs in Jamal Charles and Niall Davis. They're good. So they have to shut down the run. Shut down Jamal Charles. Fill those running lanes up. Set yourself up to get Alex Smith in some passing situations. Alex Smith, all 4 of Alex Smith's interceptions have come while the Chiefs were losing. So there you go. The Bills need to get up on these guys. When trailing, Alex Smith completes 54% of his passes for 5 yards an attempt. His rating is 55.6 when losing. There you go. He is successful. The one stat I did notice that he's very successful is on third downs. He completes 70% of his passes on third downs and has a quarterback rating of 103.4. So, third down defense is going to come into play. The Chiefs convert. The Bills have been pretty good on third downs, not so much lately. And the Chiefs convert more than 50% of their third downs. They're 55 for 106 on the year. So, they like to run the ball on first down. They're going to most of the time because they have good running backs. And Andy Reid, believe it or not, is now a run-first coach. And they protect the football, like I said. Last year, here you go. Last year, Alex Smith was 19 for 29 for 124 yards against the Bills. They won by 10. They scored 23 points because of 2 defensive touchdowns. Mind you, Jeff Toole was the quarterback for the Bills, but they just let the Bills beat themselves, and that's something they just can't do. The offensive line needs to be stout. Keep Orton upright. Let him stand and deliver. I don't even know what to predict. I'm sitting here and I'm like, I go back to where I was 2 minutes ago. If Sammy Watkins and Fred Jackson play, I think the Bills got a shot at squeaking out a victory. If they both play, I'm going to say the Bills win 20-19. And if they don't, either one of them, the Bills lose 20-19. There's my prediction. Guys, I thank you for coming this far into the video. I got a little bit enthusiastic in certain parts. It's just because we're 5-3. This is a game we have to have. The AFC is so tight. It's good. All these teams are at 5-3, 6-3. We need this game. Get there. Get to the stadium. I work there. I'm in section 221, 222. Big Orange Jacket. Come see me. Guys, enjoy your weekend. And above all else, as always, Go Bills!